All right, so let's move on to the next kind of vibrato, which is the horizontal style vibrato. Now, the horizontal is often referred to as the classical vibrato because classical guitar players tend to do this vibrato quite a bit. And what they're doing is they're simply subtly moving back and forth within the fret, back and forth like this. So it's a very, very subtle vibrato. And as you're playing, you're not going to notice much, okay? But I want you to understand what's actually happening. It's kind of like a slide, only what you're doing is you're just moving back and forth within the structure of that fret. So you're not moving over a fret, you're just staying in there. It's very, very, very subtle. And what you'll notice in the back of my, where my thumb is here, my thumb is staying constant and I'm just moving that finger back and forth. It's a lot harder to try and, like, move your thumb back and forth, although it is possible to do that. I have a tendency of just leaving my thumb stable. Now, I've seen people do them where they take the thumb off entirely and then just move back and forth. And that's okay too. You don't have to feel like you always have to lock that thumb down because you don't. If you're playing, see how you hear that? It's very subtle. Where if I grab on with my thumb, it's a little bit harder to get that that vibrato sound for you to hear. But it's there. You see? So the classical vibrato, if I do it nice and slow here, I'm going to be on the 5th fret of the 3rd string again. I'm simply moving from one side of the fret to the other side. Okay, just back and forth. Okay, so that's the vibrato, the horizontal vibrato. So what I want you to practice is I want you to practice trying to do that again with all 4 fingers. Or this one. Or this one. Or this one. Now in doing this vibrato, I don't use all 4 fingers because there's just too much pressure. There's too much friction on the string. It's easier for me to release the fingers and just use the one finger, as most people do. So in this case, I wouldn't be grabbing on with all 4 fingers and then trying to slide everybody because that would be really tough to do. So I'm just moving one finger back and forth. Okay, so I'm literally just moving back and forth. Now, you can make this crazy by doing more of a slide style vibrato. This would be like in the style of some of the 80s guitar players like George Lynch is one that comes to mind of Dokken, or Warren D. Martini from Rat is another one that does this. There's a number of players out there that do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same idea, but I'm actually going to move between frets. So for instance, if I'm on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, I'm going to move to the 8th fret and then back. And I'm going to get that kind of sound. Okay? Now again, your goal is whether or not it feels comfortable to leave your thumb down like that or take your thumb off. See, if I was doing 1 fret within the same fret, it's easier for me to take the finger off, but if I'm doing 2 frets, I have a tendency of going too wide when I take my thumb off, so I have a tendency of just leaving that thumb down then and creating that. And I could make that as wide as I want.